Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters, your Magic the Gathering source that helps you command your budget. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support. Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Quarters studio. Welcome to the show. So the hits just keep coming today with Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, spoiler season, week 2, day 3, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, early this morning we got Hinata Crown of Dawn, and yeah, this thing is absolutely broken. It's one of those commanders that you take a look at and you're like, oh, it seems pretty good. And then you think further about it and you're like, oh no. Oh no, it can do that too? So yeah, to find out what I'm talking about, make sure you check that episode out at some point, and also make sure you check out my episode on Ishin Two Heavens as One. This commander is going to be, I believe, again, I should specify that I believe this commander is going to be incredibly popular. But before you go to check out that commander, make sure you stay tuned to this one, because this is an incredibly spicy commander with Shiga, Okiba Gang Leader. And I said Okiba. Okiba. I am messing up all the words today. Anyways, let's jump into it. First off, a big thank you to MTG Goldfish for the translation on this card. Shiga, Okiba Gang Leader is a 4/3 rat pilot that costs 1 white-black. It has, at the beginning of combat on your turn, return target vehicle card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste, return to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. So this is a low-to-the-ground vehicle-centric commander that can give you a ton of value throughout the game, and you can do some really exciting things with it. Again, once per each of your turns on your combat, you're going to get back one of your vehicles, and it gets haste so it can actually attack right away. That being said, do keep in mind that you are going to have to actually crew it. Because, obviously it doesn't say that, that vehicle becomes a creature until end of turn or anything like that, so please keep that in mind. That being said, obviously, Shiga, only being a 3-mana creature, has 4 power, so, she can crew the vast majority of vehicles out there. And of course, in these colors, we've got plenty of ways to make other creatures that can help crew, and yeah, we'll go through those here in a bit. Regardless, again, that vehicle doesn't just stick in play, which would be very powerful. It does come back to our hand, though. Now, this does happen at the beginning of the end step, and of course, there are some ways that we can work around this, and we'll talk about those here in a bit as well. So yeah, this is a very unique and spicy commander that can lead to a vehicle value build that can do some pretty crazy things. So get some vehicles into your graveyard, get your commander out, get those vehicles out for free, crew them up, and then do, well, some sneaky things to maybe keep those vehicles around for just a bit longer. Regardless, first up, obviously, there are a good amount of vehicles out there already, with what seems to be more and more coming in each day, and we'll talk about some of the new ones here in a bit. But yeah, some oldies but goodies with Smuggler's Copter, Sky Sovereign, Console Flagship, and Parhelion 2 are definitely going to be includes in this stack. Smuggler's Copter is a 3/3 vehicle with flying that has crew 1, so yeah, pretty much any creature can crew it, and it has when it attacks or blocks, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So even just getting this out of your graveyard and swinging with it gives you a, low to the ground 3/3 flyer, so that's some evasion. That also gives you a benefit when it attacks, again, basically a looting effect. And then Sky Sovereign Console Flagship is a 6/5 flyer, so even bigger, that has when it enters the battlefield or attacks, it deals 3 damage to target creature, planeswalker, and opponent controls, and it's got crew 3. So again, our commander can actually crew this, and also, again, when it comes into play, again, it just pings something for 3, so that's great. And when it attacks, it also pings. So again, that's going to be 6 total damage in the turn that we get it out of our graveyard and we attack with it, because again, our commander gives it haste so it can do so. But the biggest of these vehicles and the biggest effect has got to come with Parhelion 2, a 5/5 first strike flying vigilant vehicle. It has crew 4, so again, our commander can crew it, and it has, when it attacks, create 2 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance that are attacking. So this can hit hard and makes even more heavy hitters in play as well. On top of that, again, of course, those angels can be fantastic at helping us crew our vehicles as well. Another oldie but a goodie vehicle that actually came out in Ixalan is Conqueror's Galleon, a 2/10 for 4 mana that has crew 4, so again, our commander can crew it. And actually, I probably should just mention this right here. Yeah, our commander can probably crew the vast majority of vehicles out there. Most have a crew cost of 4 or less, so that's pretty great. Regardless, this one works incredibly well with our commander because it has, when it attacks, exile it at end of combat, then return to the battlefield transformed under your control. So this one essentially on its own gets around that trigger, where it's going to have to bounce back to our hand at the beginning of the end step. That doesn't happen because this is going to exile itself beforehand. And of course, when it comes back into play from exile, it's basically considered a different permanent, and it's actually going to be completely different because it's going to be on the backside with Conqueror's Foothold. It has tap, add colorless, pay 2 and tap, draw a card, discard a card, pay 4 and tap, draw a card, or pay 6 and tap, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. So in kind of a weird way, our commander can actually help ramp us with Conqueror's Galleon by getting it out of our graveyard, swinging with it, exiling at end of combat, having it come back as a land that, well, on top of, tapping for mana, can do a ton of other things that comprise a lot of value. I mean, even just with that first one, that looting effect, draw a card, discard a card, just think about utilizing this, or, again, like Smuggler's Compter, utilizing that discard to get something like Parhelion 2 in your graveyard to set yourself up for your next turn. And of course, in these colors, we've got plenty of other ways to actually get things into our graveyard, so make sure you're on the lookout for those. That being said, like I mentioned earlier, of course we are getting more and more vehicles in this set with things like High-Speed Hoverbike, Reckoner, Bank Buster, and Mech Titan Core. High-Speed Hoverbike is just a 2/2, but it's got Flash and Flying, and it just has crew 1, and it has when it enters the battlefield, tap up to 1 target creature. So by getting this back, we can tap something down and swing through. And then Reckoner Bank Buster is a 4/4 that enters the battlefield 3 charge counters on it, and by paying 2 and tapping it, remove a charge counter from it to draw a card. Then if there are no charge counters on it, we create a treasure token and a 1/1 colorless pilot creature token with this creature crews vehicles as though its power were 2 greater. So actually this bouncing itself back to our hand might not be a bad thing to essentially reset the charge counters on it after we've used one. And again, once we've used them all up, not only do we get a treasure, but we also get a pilot that can crew things that have crew 3. But of course, I have got to mention Mech Titan Core, Megazord itself, and actually if you haven't seen my episode on this, make sure you check it out at some point, but not just yet. Regardless, this can be fantastic with this brand new commander. It's a 2/4 vehicle for 2 that has pay 5, exile it and 4 other artifact creatures and or vehicles you control. Create Mech Titan, a legendary 10/10 construct artifact creature token with flying, vigilance, trample, lifelink, and haste, that's all colors. When that token leaves the battlefield, return all cards exiled with Mech Titan Core except Mech Titan Core to the battlefield tapped under their owner's control. So obviously we can utilize this ability to, well, make a giant Mech Titan, which is just amazing and a lot of fun, but of course in combination with our commander, it can be very effective. Again, our commander can get us back a vehicle, including this one, that normally would bounce back to our hand, but instead of having it bounce, we can utilize it, or Mech Titan Core if it's the one we choose, to actually, form that Mech Titan. And of course, then when that Mech Titan actually leaves the battlefield, which is sad because, we love Mech Titan, we actually get all those vehicles back except for Mech Titan Core. So again, if we cheat another vehicle out into play with our commander, we can actually basically keep it around permanently, after Mech Titan comes into play and then leaves. But of course, in these colors, there's a lot easier ways to do that. For example, let's talk about cards like Eerie Interlude, Eldrazi Displacer, and Conjurer's Closet. Eerie Interlude has exile any number of target creatures you control, return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So again, before that trigger comes up to actually bounce that vehicle back to our hand, well, we just cast this and blink this and whatever else we want to blink, for ETBs or whatnot. Again, that vehicle is going to come back into play and now it's treated as a new permanent, so it's not going to bounce back to our hand. And then a fantastic blink effect that can really take advantage of ETBs that is repeatable is Eldrazi Displacer. It has pay 2 and a colorless, exiling another target creature, then return to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. But a free way to do this every single turn comes with Conjurer's Closet. It says at the beginning of your end step, you may exile target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control. Again, our commander is also assigning end step triggers for that bounce effect, and instead of doing that, we just do this first, and we exile a creature instead of bouncing it. So then it exiles, comes back in, now it's a new permanent, and it stays. So again, this is kind of like permanent reanimation for vehicles, and yeah, that can be quite powerful and really spicy. But instead of blinking our vehicles, we can actually sacrifice them for value with things like Altar of Dementia, High Market, and Spirit Sister's Call. Altar of Dementia is a fantastic sacrifice outlet specifically for this deck. It says sacrifice a creature, target player puts a number of cards equal to the sacrifice creature's power from the top of their library into their graveyard. So again, say with our commander, we get Parhelion 2 out in play. We, get it out, we crew it, we swing, we get our angels that are also tapped and attacking. Then before our end step trigger, we sacrifice Parhelion 2, we target ourselves to mill ourselves for 5, and we get more cards into our graveyard, hopefully even more vehicles. And then, of course, our Parhelion 2 dodges that, bounce effect that is going to bring it back to our hand, so instead it's actually in our graveyard, so next turn we can bring it back again with our commander to do the exact same thing. And obviously, if we're working with something that has an ETB like Sky Sovereign, we can take even more advantage of that. Even a simple but very effective land like High Market can really help us out. It has tap for a colorless or tap, sacrifice a creature, you gain 1 life. Again, 1 life isn't really that big of a benefit, but having a sacrifice outlet on a land can be huge. Next up, and actually this is another card that I have covered from this set, so check out the episode on Spirit Sister's Call when you've got a chance, but not right now. Don't leave just yet. Anyways, it's an enchantment for 3, white, black, and it says at the beginning of your end step, choose target permanent card in your graveyard. You may sacrifice a permanent that shares a card type with the chosen card. If you do, return the chosen card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it gains if this permanent would leave the battlefield, exile instead of putting it anywhere else. Again, another way to sacrifice our vehicle that is going to be leaving anyways for value before it gets bounced back to our hand. And obviously that vehicle being back in our graveyard is not a bad place to be. Now, of course, I mentioned this before, but yeah, there are plenty of effective ways to make tokens in these colors with things like Secure the Waste, Court of Grace, and Born to Drive. So plenty of ways to just fill the board with a bunch of creatures that can crew our vehicles. Secure the Waste says put X/1/1 white warrior creature tokens on the battlefield, and it's an instant for X and a white, so we can just make a ton of, potential, okay, I guess I shouldn't use the word pilot because that's actually, a creature type, but warriors that drive vehicles. So pilots. Anyways. And then Court of Grace says when it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 white sphere creature token with flying. If you're the monarch, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying instead. So first up, bringing the monarch into play can be a fantastic thing for an aggressive deck like this one to provide us some extra card advantage. And yeah, even if we're not the monarch, we still get a token, which could potentially help us crew vehicles. And if we are the monarch, we get a massive token, again, a 4/4 with flying, which can also crew vehicles, again, pretty much any of our vehicles. Speaking of which, a new card that we got was Born to Drive, which does say enchant artifact or creature as long as enchanted permanent is a creature gets +1 for each creature and or vehicle you control. So this can make a creature absolutely massive in a deck like this. But we also can actually just channel it for 2 and a white and discard it to create 2 1/1 colorless pilot creature tokens with this creature crews vehicles as though its power were 2 greater. So essentially, in combination, right, they can crew up to, crew 6? Or, crew 2 separate vehicles up to crew 3. So yeah, pilots like these can be pretty effective. Now, obviously, Shiga can be a fantastic vehicle commander in her own right, but there are actually already other vehicle commanders out there that could utilize Shiga fantastically in their deck. And one of those commanders is definitely Sidri, Galvanic Genius, a 2/2 Human Artificer for white, blue, black. And she has pay a blue, target non-creature artifact becomes an artifact creature with power and toughness, each equal to its converted mana cost until end of turn. On top of that, by paying white, black, target artifact creature gains death touch and lifelink until end of turn. So Sidri actually works in a very interesting way with vehicles. She kind of overrides their power and toughness by utilizing their converted mana cost instead of what it actually says on the card. So in the case of something like Parhelion, it's an 8/8 instead of a 5/5 because it costs 8 mana. It's kind of like autopiloting a vehicle in a way. Regardless, this works very well with Shiga, obviously, because Shiga can bring back a vehicle into play, and though it's not crewed, it does have haste, and Sidri can say, hey, now you're essentially crewed. Well, again, autopiloted, whatever you want to call it. And of course, another option is the very powerful Alayla Artful Provocateur. She's a 2/3 fairy warlock with flying, death touch, and lifelink that costs 1 white, blue, black. She has other creatures you control flying, get +1/+0, and whenever you cast an artifact or enchantment spell, create a 1/1 blue fairy creature token with flying. So essentially, cast vehicles, create fairies that can crew your vehicles. And Shiga can help you get those vehicles back so that you can crew them some more and swing some more and have a good time. But now as this episode is coming to a close, it's time for me to give you my final thoughts on Shiga Okiba Gang Leader. See, I think I said it right that time. Probably not. Anyways, this is a very spicy commander and one that I think a lot of players are going to be really excited about. I mean, vehicle reanimation tribal. That sounds pretty fun. And again, vehicle reanimation tribal that you can then, use and abuse with blink spells or sacrificing. And yeah, ways to keep your vehicles around or send them back into your graveyard. There's a lot of unexpected and powerful things that you can do with this, and yeah, I can see a lot of players really looking forward to building around this commander. That being said, spoiler season is not quite done just yet, so make sure you're staying tuned to this channel for more exciting cards I'm sure that are coming up very soon. And with that, the show has come to a close, so it's my turn here from you. So in the comments below, let me know your thoughts on this episode are, and as always, thanks again and have a good one.